On this cool sunny morning, the snakes seem to be everywhere. They're soaking up the warmth to digest their food and hunt for more. They need to eat as much as they can before the end of the petrel's breeding season. Once the sun and the sand get too hot, then the snakes return to the cooler burrows. Rob Brettle is looking to see how big the young petrels have grown by this time in the season.
That's not a chick. There's a snake down there. Here we've got a dead one. And it just shows you how dry it is here. It didn't rot, it mummified. Pretty tough environment. This little ball of fluff here, with the feathers sticking out, is the main reason why the island tiger snakes do so well here. It's a white-faced storm petrel, and they nest here in their thousands. Both the young and the parents are eaten, and it's lucky for the tiger snake they're here. We better put him back, I think.
The tigers of Revesby Island have adapted well to their waterless world. They now have a better venom than their common tiger ancestor and black colouring. All this adds up to faster meals. Now they eat just about as much as their mainland cousins, but they do it in a much shorter time. To see how well the Revesby Island population's doing, Rob Brettle catches a few snakes for closer examination.
Look at him striking that bloody thing. Now that's a little bit savage, isn't it? Stumpy tail one too, he is. Is he? Angry. I'll just move him out to the open here. Oh, missed you. That's the liveliest one I've ever come across. Now they're pretty prolific on these islands, because while I'm catching this one, there's another one just over to our right.
Rob's hoping to find gravid females. They should be just about ready to give birth. A sure sign of a healthy population.
Now that's a beauty. This is a real beauty. This is a pregnant female. You can see the babies in the belly here. You can see lump, lump, lump all the way down where my fingers are going. Big pregnant female. I would never have guessed that any snakes would live here, but they do. This tiny speck of an island is the land of the pygmies. Those amazing tiger snakes. To live here, they just downsized.
Early one morning, our fishermen friends drop us over to Roxby Island.
Come up.
Only a few kilometres from Revesby Island, there are no nesting seabirds here, but there are plenty of small lizards and tiger snakes.
We made it. Okay.
This is Roxby, eh?
Roxby.
Here on Roxby Island, the tiger snakes got the rough end of the pineapple. They were stranded on an island with only lizards for food. Small prey, small snake.
When we first visited Roxby Islands, we saw roughly about 2 dozen tiger snakes, and they're all around about the same size. And We were rather surprised about the size because it was very small. But it probably wasn't until sometime after, when we'd seen tiger snakes from a number of the adjacent islands, that we realised that these tiger snakes were actually probably the smallest tiger snakes of all tiger snakes.
Here's one, Robbie. Let's drag him out.
Is that about an adult size?
Yeah, it's what I try and drag it out of here.
This is the smallest tiger snake there is. It's smaller because it only eats small food, like little skinks, like those striped skinks, and the odd small bird like the silver eyes. No petrels here on Roxby Island.
So basically it's the same as the other tiger snakes on the other islands, but it's just smaller.
Yeah, that's right.
The truth of the matter is, without these little fellows, the skinks, none of the island tiger snakes would survive. It is the food of their young. Here on Chapel Island, to eat birds this big, they've become giants. They're the biggest tiger snake in the world.
The rising sea levels that created Revesby and many other islands along the Australian coastline also created Tasmania. Before this, the area we call Bass Strait contained a huge lake. As the climate warmed, rainfall increased, and life around and in the lake would have proliferated. Undoubtedly, it became a haven for animals of many types, including birds, frogs, and tiger snakes. For a time, it would have been a veritable Garden of Eden, but the sea continued to rise. When the sea levels rose between the Australian mainland and Tasmania to form Bass Strait, a lot of animals, including the common tiger snakes, would have been forced to high ground, including a few newly formed islands. Life remained fairly normal for those stranded on the larger islands, but the barefoot bushman travels to a mere pinprick on the map called Mount Chapel Island. It seems impossible that any snakes could survive in such a desolate place. But not only do they survive, there are thousands of tiger snakes, and they grow larger here than anywhere else. The peaceful beauty of the island masks one of the most extraordinary episodes in the life of the tiger snake, and it all happens under the ground. Rob Breddle is searching for the one small creature that makes it all possible. The trick is to find a burrow without a tiger snake. Mount Chapel Island is a major nesting site for the short-tailed shearwater or muttonbird, and the tiger snakes have grown large enough to eat them. These birds are much bigger than the white-faced storm petrels relished by the black tigers on Revesby Island. Except the small lizards, there's nothing else to eat on Chapel Island but muttonbirds. So the tiger snakes here had to overcome a bigger problem than most of the other island tigers. The birds are so large that they can only eat the chicks until they reach a certain size. They can't eat the adults. So for the Chapel Island tigers, the chicken feast only lasts for a short time.
This is the adult muttonbird, and by sheer luck for the tiger snake, it chose to nest here on these islands. In its migration, it travels from here to Russia and back, and in its life will fly 36 times around the world. Okay, up you go. Like thousands of other birds, this bird's chick was probably eaten by a tiger snake.
A short walk around the island tells Rob Breddle that the snakes are thriving. They're virtually everywhere. Like the black tigers on Revesby Island, they come out of the muttonbird burrows when the temperature is right to hunt and to absorb the warmth of the sun and sand. Their placid behaviour tells us they're kings of the island, top of the food chain, with nothing to fear but we humans.
Right up, beauty, eh? You'd like to get me too, wouldn't you? You'd like to get his fangs into you, wouldn't he?
By sunrise, most of the adult mutton birds are out at sea. They will not return to their young before dark. The chicks are now quite large, and the once-a-year opportunity for the tiger snakes to build their reserves is nearly over. It's at this time of the year that the relationship between the tigers and the chicks makes a strange transformation. Predator and prey become unlikely nestmates. The tiger snakes now cuddle up to the chicks, too large to eat. But there's still food around, and the hunt continues. While life is tough for most of the year on Mount Chapel Island, for a few short weeks it's tiger snake heaven. Just about every hole will have one huge feed of the best possible tucker just sitting there waiting to be eaten. The struggle to swallow its meal may go on for hours as the snake stretches its jaws and body to the limit. Almost certainly this will be the last feed for this snake until the next nesting season, in nearly a year. In only a few thousand years, the Chapel Island tiger snake has become thicker and longer than its ancestral common tiger snake. And year by year, infinitely slowly, it'll continue to increase its size to eat more mutton birds for longer during their nesting season. The common tiger snake has spawned our newest venomous snakes, the island tigers. Deprived of the swamps and frogs, they adapted rapidly to change and survived the odds against them. This is what snakes are about. By looking at the tiger snakes, we gain insight into the extraordinary world of snakes and see just how well they're doing. Throughout the planet, there are now more than 2,000 species adapted to almost every available habitat and consuming just about any animal. An amazing feat for a legless, armless, and deaf creature.
The island tiger snakes are just the latest stage in 15 to 20 million years of evolution that began on the northern shores of Australia and continue today on its southern fringe. While their mainland ancestors falter In the face of rapid man-made destruction of their swampy playgrounds, the island tiger snakes continue as they have for the last 8,000 to 10,000 years. By altering just a few things, they are coping well with the changes caused by the rising sea levels and are thriving in their isolation. It is there on those islands, I believe, we are witness to the start of a brand new species.